Como o inglês era a única língua que eu e o Kim falamos, a entrevista está em inglês, mas tem legendas em português, é só você ligar aí no YouTube, e também em várias outras línguas. Porque esse assunto pode ter interesse para muitos velejadores de outros países também, eu acredito. Você vai ficar chocado com o que é proibido fazer em um veleiro na Coreia. Myung-ki Kim é um professor de vela na Coreia do Sul já há muitos anos. E ele resolveu comprar um barco maior na Itália e aproveitar esse transporte para fazer uma viagem incrível de lá até seu país de origem, passando pelo Mediterrâneo, Mar Vermelho, Oceano Índico e uma parte do Oceano Pacífico até chegar no seu porto natal, na Coreia do Sul. Parte dessa viagem, a sua mulher e a sua filha acompanharam ele, mas quando ele chegou na parte mais dura da viagem, eles acharam melhor as duas irem de avião e ele seguir solo em direção à Coreia do Sul. Uma viagem incrível e que seria celebrada no Brasil e eu acho que em boa parte dos países do mundo, para não dizer todos. E foi celebrada na Coreia, pela família, amigos e até a imprensa local. Mas, e aqui vai um grande mas, ele foi acusado de vários crimes que não seriam crimes no Brasil e nenhum outro país democrático do mundo que eu tenha notícia. Pelo menos nunca ouvi falar de nada assim. E a gente não tá falando da Coreia do Norte, que é um país realmente super fechado, para dizer o mínimo, mas da Coreia do Sul, reconhecida internacionalmente por ser um país livre e democrático. É uma história que, pelo absurdo, gerou uma comoção internacional entre os velejadores e nos faz pensar na liberdade que temos a bordo e de como ela é frágil.
It's my business. Yeah? Sailing is my business. I introduce my beautiful hometown, the shore, to the customer, and I need another more big ship. Yeah, my last ship is Veneto 39.3. Oceanis, Veneto Oceanis Clipper. Yeah. But now my new sailboat is Bavaria 50. Yeah, more big. Yeah. So I go to the Italia and buy the ship and sailing to the Korea. It's very nice, very nice. I'm sailing the Adrian Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea. It's good. But in Djibouti, Africa, Djibouti, the wind change against Aden Bay is very dangerous, I think. So I decide my wife and my baby return to Korea by airplane. But inside, the Korean government threatened me. If you sailing with your small baby is child abuse. It's crazy. I'm very surprised.
Uau! Eu nunca ouvi falar de algo assim. Aliás, conheço muitos casos que já entrevistei aqui, inclusive de crianças que foram criadas em veleiros com seus pais, muitas delas fazendo viagens similares e tendo uma vida maravilhosa e um futuro também. Então é algo chocante para mim imaginar isso. Pensando na perspectiva de quem mora em um veleiro como eu, dá a impressão de que todo e qualquer aspecto da minha vida, no meu lar aqui, teria uma intromissão muito grande das autoridades com esse tipo de regra. É completamente compreensível você ter regras de segurança, né? Por exemplo, uma casa também tem regulamentação, no mínimo um habite-se, mas não poder viajar com seu filho é algo. Outra regra totalmente impraticável para um veleiro tem a ver com a passagem do Kim pelo Estreito de Aden, em um lugar onde havia um aviso de HRA, ou HRA, High Risk Area, né, área de alto risco, porque aquela região teve muita pirataria. Só que esse aviso já tinha acabado internacionalmente, porque a princípio a situação da pirataria já tinha sido resolvida na região. Mas a Coreia ainda não tinha tirado esse aviso. You've been accused of not installing an escape bulkhead with 1.5 centimeters thick on a sailboat.
Yeah, 1.5 the wall, the iron rule. But if I make the iron room in my yacht, the yacht is destroyed. Yeah, cannot balance. So some the ferret attack to me. I'm the hide the room, but it's useless. Yeah, the big ship is the ferret attack the iron room. and time, yeah, take time, and the time the warships coming and helping them, yeah. But my boat is very small. Yeah? They period cannot they need don't need the attack to me, carrying me, small yacht carrying me. It's useless iron room, yeah.
Bom, outro problema era a importação do veleiro. E aqui, tudo bem, eu sei que nós no Brasil não temos o esquema de importação mais fácil e talvez não sejamos um grande exemplo, mas dá uma olhada nessas regras aí.
In Korea, the rule is very ridiculous. Yeah. So if I buy the sailboat from USA, the sailboat come to Korea and register by the leisure boat. In that registration, that is everything is just normal ship.
Okay.
They charge the normal ship act. Yeah.
They apply the same rules and taxes as if it was a merchant ship.
Even though if I buy the used boat in a foreign country, this Italia, Korean government foreign inspection agencies are not trusted by Korean government. They don't trust. Yeah, so Korean inspector have to go to the buying country. If I buying the Italia, the Korean inspector must to go to the Italia and checking, investing, and cost the price. Their air flying flight, the staying there price is my charge.
No, you need to pay for that for them to go there.
Yeah. In Korea, but nobody like that. Nobody paying. Nobody checking the in the foreign country. The inspector going. Nobody, just buying and carrying. Yeah, it's okay. But just me, they checking me.
What they are checking for? Like they are going there to check if about the price of your boat, or for security reasons that they need to classify your boat for sea water, for blue water. What?
Okay, I think and another sailboat captain's opinion is useless. Yeah, just looking and checking. Yeah. By the way, in Italia, the hotel Italian, the inspector inspecting very many things, and electric tools checking, and they give me the report, 12 pages report. Yeah? In Korea, just 1 or 2 pages, just looking. Yeah, nice and good inspecting in Italia. Yeah, but Korean government don't believe Italian inspector.
Nenhuma regra é perfeita, e é sempre uma generalização, porque ela tem que ser aplicada a todos. Então, há sempre um lado que não concorda e possivelmente não concorde com bons argumentos. Mas dá uma escutada nessa regra aqui, de como é a habilitação para ir para o mar aberto, e deguste. When sailing in the blue ocean, 2 or more people must sail. In addition, sailboat sailor needs a special certification. It requires a certificate that can be obtained by working on a fish boat for more than 2 years.
Yeah. I didn't know the Korean Ocean and Fisheries Ministry checked me. Yeah. But I didn't know, and nobody know. So I have to. I think this the ridiculous rules change. Yeah, I'm the normal office worker. Okay, I decide. Yeah, I have to buy the sailboat, and I want the whole world sailing. Yeah, in Korea. We have to go to the fish ship, and working 2 years, and we pass the test and get the license. Yeah, crazy.
Well, the only way to be certified as a sailor is working on a fishing ship. Is that?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in your country, the all certification for for boats are given by the fishing ministry or entity, and so they mix a little bit the categories of both.
Actually, we get the sailboat license. The license is only 5 ton, under the 5 ton. If I get the license, the sailboat license, I can sailing under the 5 ton. If I want more, 5 to the 25, I get the license. Go to the I carrying to the license to the Ministry of the Ocean and Fisheries, and they give the more big one license. No test, just carrying show them big one. The license is 25 under the 25 sailboat. One license, two license, no test, just show them, and that license can use sailing by the Japan. If I go to the more the Japan, and second license, I'm working to the fishery ship 2 years.
Is sailing popular in your country?
No. It's Korean people. Korea is not popular in sailing. The 700 times smaller, lower than America, and 60 times smaller than the Japan.
And in Japan, there are no much sailing as well, I think.
In the worldwide, the Japan, sailing, the volume is not big, but in Korea, 200 times, they are 200 times more big than Korea.
Our picture of South Korea is one of a free country with democracy, and I'm sure it is. But these rules are dissonant with this idea, sounds to me more like was North Korea or Russia or something.
Are you surprised about that?
Yeah, because I know that South Korea it's a free country, and I know these rules are an exception in all this scheme of things, but it's very surprising for us.
I'm surprised too. Even if the maritime police invest in me, they surprised too. They said to me, "Wow, we didn't know about this kind of rule first time." Nobody knows in Korea. Korea is very free country, but the rule is very ridiculous.
I think that all these problems are like a blank spot, like the rule makers, your legislative, or those whose jobs are to make laws, that don't even think about it. About crazy people sailing in sailboats around the world is too exotic for them, probably.
In Korea, I'm the third man, the first, second, third man. Only 3 people sailing all around. But they don't know about that. Nobody knows. But in this time, the Ministry of the Ocean and Fisheries check the rule. Check the rule, but you against the rule. They decide, and they sue to the maritime police. It's the first time in Korea.
Do you think they are trying to be flexible with that? Are they considering that the rule was not made thinking in your case, but big ships? Do you think that they have this flexibility, or not? They are very strict to the rule.
In Korea, there is no small sailing rule, no rule. So they get the big merchandising, big ships rules. Carrying me, you against the rule. They said to me.
In Brazil, we have a lot of rules as any other country, but when the Supreme Court noticed that the spirit of the law is different from that case, like this law was thinking about something else, not this. Sometimes they change not the rule, but they change the application of the rule. Do you think that something like that can happen in Korea?
At first time, nobody know about this situation, but now the MBC news in Korean news channel reported this situation, my situation, to the peoples, and people mind changes the very favorite opinions. They wow, it's crazy. It's not in Korea. It's free country. Why? And the foreign captains has influence to the good direction in the Korean government. Yeah.
So the public opinion, it's favorable to you. Most people are understanding the problem. That's a good thing.
Except Korean the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, just accept them. 90% people favor me. But I said this situation reported to the lawmaker Lee Yang-soo's office. Yeah, Lee Yang-soo's name, the lawmaker name, Yang-soo's office. But they checked the situation. Okay, it's trouble. It's some problem. They called to the Korean government, Korean Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, change the rule. The first, the Aden Bay, the HRA, high risk area, release lawmaker Lee Yang-soo's office, call to the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, delete that rules immediately. Okay, and they call the government related peoples, called their office and check what is the problem now. Yeah.
You know, we complain a lot about our rules here in Brazil, but this is a whole new level. In Brazil, we have a lot of problems too. We have a lot of different problems, maybe. Okay, but there are a lot of sailboat sailors here who make the rules is the Navy, not the like in your country the fish ministry or something. Officers of the Navy regularly have sailing lessons, and they know how to sail. So probably they understand a little better the rules about sailing here. I think.
At first, I think this problem is my problem, but now I think it's not me, just the whole world sailors' problem. They have the similar problem. The countries. My thing in my case is very seriously, but I think the another countries same.
You are in the vanguard. In your country, you are breaking new horizons. You are doing some things that not many people do there. So it has a risk. You already passed a lot of natural risks. They're inherent to sailboats and weather, but now you have bureaucracy risks when you reach home.
So in Korea, many another sailboat sailors want whole world. They hoped whole world sailing. They surprised in this situation, and they Kim now. So this problem conversation with the lawmaker Lee Yang-soo's office now. Change the rule.
Do you think that your story can change it? That maybe a lot of people will hear about sailing across the world with a small sailboat, and maybe bring more sailors to the sailboat community in Korea?
I hope currently South Korean sailors would be a criminal if he sailed long distance on the sailing ship and traveled around the world. I hope this irrational situation will be improved so the Korean sailors can free travel around the world free. I hope. Sometime I want to visit your country, Brazil.
You will love Brazil.
This time I'm my ship in Italia and go to the Mediterranean Sea, Egypt, and Bengal Bay and Korea. But next time I turn around your country. Yeah.
Cool.
The
You will love
Pacific
Brazil. There's a huge coast and with a lot of nice anchorages. There's a lot of wild anchorage, a lot of places you can anchor and almost nobody around and you can be by the anchor. There's a lot of cool places. This story, I think, will be a very important point in South Korea sailing history, I think. Future generations of sailors will discuss about that and remember you. I really think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And most important is pre-sailing. Yeah. Sailboat is free. We
Of
want
course.
to sail freely, whole world sailing, okay? I think the whole world sailing, the sailing is very nice because of it makes the very good, many very good friends, foreign friends like you, yeah?
Thank
Because
you.
of sailing, in Korea, the sailing is not a hidden place in Korea. Korea is a very beautiful place. There is very good and beautiful marina. Many foreign sailors, sailboat sailors please visit Korea. Yeah, I will help you.
I would love to, but for someone who is doing around the world, like coming from Panama, how hard it is to sail to Korea? Is there the sea is real rough there? Is there hurricane seasons or?
From November in Korea is winter. Winter time is very cold. Yeah, I think the springtime is very nice, and the summertime very nice. Yeah, very beautiful place. Yeah.
And if you go to Korea, can you just anchor, or you need to go to a marina, or is there wild anchorage there?
In Korea, there is many marina. Not
Okay.
anchorage point is not too much. Yeah, and this row problem, the maritime police problem is just Korean. Yeah, the foreigners is okay, no problem. No problem. Foreign no problem, just Korean problem. Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy a lot.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
If there are any Brazilian in Korea that wants to sail or learn to sail, can you tell me where you're based?
Oh, yeah. Many foreign people go visit Korea. Yeah, and I will help him. Yeah, help them. Yeah, if you come to Korea, I will help you.
Is there anyone like for training for sports or something like? Is there anyone sailing in North Korea?
No, if you go there, you got bullshit or missile. Yeah,
Bad idea.
don't
Bad
do
idea.
that. Don't even think about that. Yeah, don't go to the North Korea. Okay.
Okay, no, that I already imagined that. I already knew that. I just want to hear from you. But if you want to sail, let's say for countries that are more close, not that democratic, but not like North Korea. Like if you want to go to Russia or if you want to go to China, is possible or
Yeah,
is
it's
not possible?
no problem. My student, one of my student, go to the Vladivostok, Russia. You know, the Korea North Korea, South Korea. The Vladivostok is here. Yeah. A few years ago, the Korea government man, the accident. He swim to the North Korea. But North Korean people, the North Korean Coast Guard shoot him and burning him. Okay, you know, it's very big news. Yeah, don't go to the North Korea. Be careful.
Okay. But so Russia and China, it's possible. It's okay.
And no problem. No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Before the 24 hours before we got the ETA, you know, ETA, yeah, visa, yeah, no problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to talk with someone and see that it's not just us that have problems. Everybody has problems, and I really hope you can fix your problems really soon, and that became a lesson to lawmakers and agencies so that it does not repeat anymore. And adventures like yours, they should be commemorated. The country must be proud of those adventures and not try to find them.
Many people, my friend and my country's people, proud, yeah. Or Korean people are holding around the world sailing, yeah. It's very brave, yeah, good. Except Ministry of Fisheries, yeah. Only small people hate me. Why?
Mr. Ministry, please look at this man. This is a very responsible guy.
Yeah, please.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you here. I hope this interview show more people about your case and show how absurd this is.
Thank you. This issue is very important, but I think more important is you and me be a friend.
Of course.
Poucos estilos de vida garantem uma liberdade tão grande quanto a vida em um veleiro. E geralmente não é uma questão tanto da liberdade que o teu governo dá, mas sim da liberdade que você mesmo se dá. Já que isso é algo relativamente tranquilo de se fazer na lei de boa parte dos países. Em qualquer lugar há regras, de trânsito, por exemplo, de convivência, de segurança, e isso é bem razoável e é uma concessão de uma pequena fração da nossa liberdade em troca de mais segurança. Mas quando uma regra tão impeditiva como essa freia assim bruscamente um voo de liberdade e tenta rasgar a conquista de um sonho tão lindo compartilhado por milhares de velejadores pelo mundo, é algo que choca um pouco, especialmente em um país pelo qual eu tenho o máximo respeito, que é próspero, democrático, com uma cultura linda e que, com certeza, um dia eu gostaria de conhecer. Eu espero respeitosamente que o ministro da Pesca e dos Oceanos da Coreia do Sul reconsidere o espírito dessas regras, a intenção de quando elas foram feitas e aprovadas, e enxergue que elas não foram feitas para acorrentar pesos aos sonhos de velejadores como o Kim. Muito obrigado por assistir até aqui e muito obrigado a todos que colaboram com a gente lá no Apoia-se. Se você quiser colaborar de alguma forma, se você já assistiu vários episódios e sente que vale a pena ajudar a gente, deixe qualquer quantia lá no Apoia-se. Fazendo isso, você permite com que a gente consiga se dedicar full time para fazer esses episódios todo domingo. E também você concorre a vários prêmios por aqui, especialmente charters e aulas de vela que a gente sorteia aqui todo mês. E que muita gente já fez passeios incríveis. Então, entra lá no site do Apoia-se. Esses sorteios acontecem somente no Apoia-se e não se tornando membro no canal, infelizmente, porque a gente não tem os dados de vocês por aqui. Mas lá no Apoia-se rola direto. Então, entra nesse link que aparece aqui ou na descrição e a gente se vê domingo às 10 da manhã ou lá no grupo do Telegram, que eu tô sempre por lá, que você consegue entrar também pelo Apoia-se, tá bom? Um abraço e até mais.